Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news, Thru Hiker update, and trail information. Well, the hikers are starting to get ramped up. We're starting to get a lot of folks out there on the trail. Going to just keep building and building and building for the next couple months. So, love hearing back from all the hikers, and we're finally getting that point where I'm starting to hear back from hikers on a regular basis. So let's go ahead and get started with who's out there and what's going on. So we got Diesel. She's still out there on the trail. She's a 2022 Sobo who obviously been finishing up in 2023 at Springer, but she has only got about 150 miles to go. So she took a pretty bad fall and injured her leg and hip, went to the urgent care, and they say she's going to be okay. Nothing's broken, but she took a few days off to do some healing, and then she's going to get back on trail. She is not giving up no matter what, and she is going to get done. So White Sox, who hiked with her through the Smokies and then also hiked with her previously on his Sobo hike and finished up his Sobo hike, he's going to keep hiking with her there, supporting her and just helping her out. She's going to stick with it, and she is going to get it done, and that's going to be awesome to see her at Springer. So hopefully that'll be in the next week, 2 weeks or so, whatever it takes, doesn't matter. That's going to be awesome. Fuzzy, he is also a Sobo from 2022. He got back out there on the trail. So he started there at, got back on the trail at Harper's Ferry, already made it to Bear's Den and actually south of Bear's Den, and he is heading into the Shenandoah. So looking forward to him completing his hike. And then Turtleback, he took a few weeks off, I believe, for some family stuff, but he's back on the trail. He's hitting the Smokies. He feels like he's going to be bringing up the rear, and he's going to be the last one to Springer wins, right? So that's his goal. But in any case, thanks a lot for those guys reporting in. Anybody else out there, please send me your updates. We still want to keep up with 2022 folks and see you through. Okay, what's going on with 2023, folks? Well, Sassafras Jim, he is slack packing out of the above the clouds area, but he said the shelters are not full, but they are well utilized. He's been cold and wet, but he says he is having a blast, and he also gives us a privy update. So he says the privies are in good shape. You might recall last year, even by the beginning of hiker season, the privies were getting full already. So, but he says the privies are in good shape, not a problem right now. Polar Bear, he is back on trail. He started in the fall, and then he got off the trail during the winter, so he couldn't take it. Had to get back on before spring, and he's back on. He started near Alberts Mountain, and he should be leaving the NOC, the Nantahala Outdoor Center, tomorrow. He wanted to start back at Mooney Gap where he had left off, but the fire roads were closed there until March for winter, so he had to get on and had to do a little bit of backtracking to get back where he got off. Vetruski is technically started, although he had to get off at Blood Mountain for some family things, but he's going to be getting back on. Now, he said he got off at Blood Mountain, but unless he took a chopper out of there, he didn't get off at Blood Mountain. He made it all the way down to Neal Gap and got off down there because Blood Mountain ain't a trailhead. But he says above the clouds, or excuse me, the ATC was using iPads and paper logs for presentations when he got checked in, and that was day before yesterday, and he was number 274. So we're getting pretty close to 300 folks that have checked out or that have stepped off by now. Pat, Rice Krispies, and Rob, they have made it to Unicoi Gap, where they were picked up by Around the Bend Hostel. Took a little break there. They say it has been physically exhausting hike so far, and anyone that says Georgia was easy is just lied. It is tough. Well, yes, Georgia's tough, and yes, the whole Appalachian Trail is tough. So Georgia's just a tiny taste of it, very tiny taste, so you can expect that. And really, when you get up into New Hampshire and some other places, a whole lot more. So buckle up, it's going to be a ride for sure. Hiram Hikes, he has hiked to the Nantahala Outdoor Center, and then he took a zero, got a shuttle and spent the night there at the Fontana Hilton, and then hiked back to the Knock. Said he drove to Standing Bear, and then he will head north in the morning. He'll be back and do the Smokies when the days are longer and his legs are faster. So his Nobo's now turned into flip-flop with all that flopping around going on there. Well, just made it to Woody Gap and Above the Clouds Hostel, so he got picked up by them went down there and hung out for the night. Had a great time down there. Understood lots of folks down there. So above the clouds, catching a lot of folks coming through. So that kind of gives a taste of what's going to be happening on up the trail for Around the Bend Hostel. My only question is, who's bringing all them folks in above the clouds? Is it that quintessential hiker disco, or is it this dude here, Lucky, the proprietor? You be the judge. Who would you show up for? Keeping right along with that, YOLO, he has made it to the Knock. Jim Lake, he has made it to Neal Gap. Stinger started on the 11th and has made it to Hiawassee there at Unicorn Gap on the 15th for a quick resupply and a gear fix. Moose Liver, she is leaving today. Buddy and Felicia, they have stepped off and they did the approach trail and they have made it to Springer. Bartman and Seven, they are in Damascus and been doing some slack packing around there, and Bartman has Lyme, and I'm assuming he means Lyme disease. I don't know how you get Lyme disease. Either it was reoccurrence, because that can stay in your system for a while, or you get it from a tick. I don't know how you get it from a tick this time of year when I didn't think the ticks were around, but in any case, that's what he was diagnosed with. But he's still out there hiking, doing some slack packing. And Noni, she is in North Carolina heading towards the Knock. So thanks for all those people checking in. If you're a hiker out there on the trail and you're part of my support list, or even if you're not, and you want to check in, then the best way to do that is either through a DM to me. Those links are down below through the social media, or even better, you can send me an email and that link's down below, and just tell me how things are going out there on the trail. Send me a picture, short video, what have you, and love to include you in our updates each week. So some folks from our support list that are leaving this upcoming week, and we've got somewhere around 208 folks on our support list. So that's a list where the hiking community can go to and find your social media, and then they can go and give you a attaboy, or attagirl, or attahiker all the way throughout the course of your trip and support you mentally in that way. If you're a thru hiker and you want to be on that list, the list to the link is down, the list to sign up is down below, and the list to the link is down below. So go and check those out. Be sure and go there and give those hikers, pick you out, 5, 10, 208 of them, and go and leave them comments. They love hearing comments. That keeps them spurred on, and sometimes it keeps them on the trail as well. So some folks on that list that are leading next week, we got First Grader, Crash, Ranger 1, Aaron Brink, Colin, Cole Ford, Good Soup, Dara, Goose and Maverick, Gabriel Riviera, Mark and Anita Wagner, Jaden Ogden, Streaker, John Haler, OG, Bottom Pocket, Edward Cloud, Ann Adam Thief, Joseph, Thomley Voy, KT, Jonathan Brandt, Jeffrey Greer, who also is goes by Roguefoot, and John Beggs. And then leaving today, we've also got Wayfaring Stranger, and like I said, Moose Liver's leaving today, and then OG, give him a big shout out. He's a homeboy from Shelby, North Carolina. Used to hang out with him when our kids were doing soccer with the travel soccer teams and everything, so he was really involved in that. So he's from my hometown here, and you also may recall that we had another thru hiker last year, and my hiking partner Come Along is also from my hometown. So my hometown has had numerous thru hikers on the Appalachian Trail over the years, so that's pretty cool. Registrations, so registrations again continue to go up from what they were last week. We're up 74 this week, so that's up around 2,467. We had 9 more flip-floppers that registered, up to 144, 145. That's Coda, by the way. And then we had increased 4 Sobos up to 96. So we went from 2,621 total registrations to 2,708. That gives us an additional 87 folks that have registered since last week with the ATC. Now, that's down a little bit from what it was really over the years. Last year this time compared to today, we had 2,708 today. Last year this time we had 3,169, and in 21 we had 2,732, a little more than 1,800 in 2020. So 2021, 2020 kind of outliers there because of COVID. Everybody came out for 2022 because of pent-up demand, so we'll see if the trend continues down over the continuing weeks and months, and then particularly over the continuing years from what it has been. So some news out there on the trail. Did want to give you an update on the sexual predator that I had spoke about last week, Mr. Frank Huggins, aka Gus Summer. I contacted the Benton MacKay Trail Association, where he was listed as a shuttle driver, and let them know what was going on. They removed him from that, as has Gut Hooks. If you go to Gut Hooks and you still see him on that, you need to update it, and then you need to log out and log back in, and that's the only way that he will be erased from your Gut Hook. So keep that in mind out there. I had a viewer, Tactical Hiker. He contacted me. He's a 40-year retired law enforcement officer, and informed me that somebody acting as a sex offender, acting as an alias, that is incorrect. So I guess that's illegal. And so he told me to report him to the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. I did so, and the very next day I had the Forsyth County Sheriff contacted me. He was not supposed to be serving as a shuttle driver for females, and I'm not sure about anybody, if it's just anybody or not. I have not been able to get the conditions of his sentencing, conditions of his probation yet. I am going to call the DA down in Forsyth County to find that out. But he was not supposed to be doing that. So the sheriff's deputy that was in charge of that particular department indicated he was going to be having a talk with his probation officer and himself. Probation officer is not allowed just to summarily make changes to somebody's sentencing. They can't do that. So it's still a violation of the law. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. If anything happens, I'll let you know. But hopefully that will keep him off the trail. I don't know if he violated any type of federal law by being a registered sex offender and getting on the trail in the National Forest Service, which would be, you know, a national crime, or federal crime rather, and then also being in, you know, the shuttling in a national park somewhere, say if he did it in the Smokies or something like that. So I don't know if that's a crime for a sexual offender to do that. I'm going to find out just for my own doing. Probably not going to be reporting on him anymore unless something else really comes to light about that. But here's his picture. Take a screenshot of this, both in his truck that he used for a shuttle vehicle. This was taken at the top of Springer Mountain when he shuttled this particular hiker on the start of their through hike. And then also here's a picture that's a little lighter, so you can, of his mugshot there. So take that, and you know, one of the reasons why I have reported this so much and why I've been focused on it is because, one, you're my hiker community, and I want to do what I can to protect folks out there. I want to do what I can to make your hike as enjoyable, as memorable as it is, without having some bad memory like this out there due to some type of encounter. But also, I think about, what if that was my daughter, that happened to my daughter. I'm gonna tell you right now, he would have gotten a lot more had I been the person that to mete out the judgment than just probation and community service. So not going to go into anything beyond that, but that's why I do it, because I think about, put myself in the place of the victims out there. The U.S. Forest Service, they are going to be conducting a prescribed burn around the Mount Rogers area, so it's NOBO miles 534 and 542. So generally in those areas, parts of the trail will be closed, parts of fire roads to get people back and forth, shuttles or to get you off the trail if you needed to, are going to be closed in those areas. So hikers approaching that section, there are going to be signs that'll put up that will tell you what to do. It's going to be sometime in the spring. They don't say when it's going to be in the spring, so that don't help out too much. So I contacted the National Forest Service to ask them, do you have a date for that? I mean, I don't think they do this just willy-nilly. Certainly the weather has something to do with it, but when they have a prescribed burn, they got to garner resources to get it in there. So surely they have a date. Nope, that is not the case. I said, do you have a date for those that will be affecting the the Appalachian Trail? And the response I got was, no, we do not. On the day of the burn, another news release will go out. But as of right now, we do not have a date. So that don't help people a lot with shuttle. People that need to get shuttle drivers to shuttle around the burn, or to plan maybe to hold in place for a couple days. don't help you out a lot. If I hear anything else, then I'll be glad to pass that along. Otherwise, when you see the guys with the torches heading towards the woods, that's when you need to know they're probably going to be doing a prescribed burn. Rock Gap Shelter, it continues to be rebuilt, continues to go along. It's looking great. My understanding from another thru hiker is that thru hikers are already staying in that thing. So glad it's progressed to that stage. I saw some caution tape up here. Probably don't want you staying in it, but folks are. I did notice that it's built way back out over with a large open area up underneath it. So the shelters that are built like that, when I've stayed in them, they've been really cold because of the wind coming up underneath them. So you might want to have some type of space blanket or certainly air mattress or something like that up underneath you when you get in there, because the wind blowing up through there through the cracks in the floorboards will chill you. And Greg Patterson, he's with the Bernal University PT department. He wanted to give out the dates for the massages and PT help there that they do every year at Neal Gap. So basically, he organizes several colleges to get their PT students to come out there. And they help people with, well, one, they give people massages, so that's really cool. But then they also help under the supervision of their professors with some physical and musculoskeletal issues that folks have got going on. So they're going to be starting March 4th. That's going to be the University of Northern Georgia. March 11th is Bernal. March 18th is Mercer. April 18th, Mercer, and April 15th is PCOM. Not sure who PCOM University is. Might be a community college there. And then they're also going to have a small contingency there at Trail Days. So that's awful neat for Greg and his folks to do that there. If you've ever had the opportunity and to have that help there, leave a comment down below. It'd be interesting to know how that went. And then Greg is also starting a chapter of Luke 5 Adventures in Northern Georgia with the help from his All Terrain Georgia. So this, looked it up, this is a really cool organization. What they do is they get people that are physically disabled out on the trail. And I mean, they literally take them out on the trail. So, if they're not able to walk the trail, then they have these special wheelchairs set up and they pull them, get them out there in wilderness, get them out on the trail so that they can enjoy it just like you and I do. It comes from the Gospel of Luke, where the friends had that paralytic. And if you know anything about that story, you know that they had a friend who was paralyzed. They had him on like a bed of some type of frame bed. They took him up and they were going to take him to see Jesus to see if Jesus would heal him. They couldn't get to him because Jesus was in a house preaching to people and healing people. They couldn't get to him, so they tore a hole in the roof and lowered him down, and Jesus healed him. So this is where that comes from, the Luke 5. That's your chapter in Luke, where you carry those loved ones that you love to get healed. And I know that when I go out, this is my happy place in the woods. My happy place is out there on the trail. That's where I go to get healing from what's going on, what the matrix is piled into me that way. So that is pretty neat. Looking forward to that getting started. I mean, what a great world it would be if we carried each other instead of trying to knock each other down to get ahead of each other, or just for the sake of not knocking each other down. That seems to be more of what happens than people carrying each other. So, but that's going to be neat, Greg. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. And then a thru hiker reached out to me. He is dealing with some mental depression, I guess you would say, due to not having children. So that is a real thing. Wasn't aware of that. My children kind of mentally depress me occasionally, and if you're watching this, Chance and Millie, I'm just kidding about that. Love you dearly, and y'all were the light of my life. But that being said, some people can't have kids, and that affects them. So he's looking for a therapist. He's doing a thru hike, so he's looking for a therapist or a clergyman, somebody that could maybe, when he kind of gets to one of those points where this really hitting him hard, then he can give somebody a call, reach out to somebody. So if you're one of those persons out there that would like to help him with that, then please get in touch with me privately, and I'll be glad to get you two hooked up together. And then I also had a few hikers ask me if I knew of a resource for churches on the trail that would help people get to church when they were hiking. Some folk, every year certain folks want to go to church while they're out there hiking. But it's kind of hard to do that when you get to a trailhead and the church, is not, most trail churches are not right there. And then there's some churches that probably don't want stinky hiker trash in their church. So I didn't know of a resource, so if nobody else knows of a resource out there, if you do, leave a message down in the description, down in the comment section. But I'm creating a resource. So if I'm reinventing the wheel, then I'll stop. But for right now, down there below, there's a link to a form that will populate to a spreadsheet that I can share with everybody. And if you're a church that is hiker friendly, or you are a member of a church and you would be willing to help hikers get to church, maybe get them a shower so they don't stink up the church before they get there, or people move away in the pews or chairs or what have you, or maybe let them sit in the churchyard, camp in the churchyard, or camp in your backyard the Sunday before. That would be awesome. So go fill out that form down below, and I'll share that with folks, and that way those that want to go to church can do that on their hike. For me, when I'm hiking, this is the church. For me, the church is not four walls. The church is the community. The church is the people. But this also is my cathedral when I go. So, all right, folks, that's all I've got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there. Now, 2023, folks. Well, Sassafras Jim cut. Sassafras Jim. I'll get it right, Jim.